Thank you, Ashley, and welcome everybody. It's so lovely to be in a live session finally, to see some faces to speak to. I think we all started getting used to all the Zoom and Teams meetings, but it's so lovely to have bodies in the room. So welcome, and welcome to all the people signing in via Zoom as well. Happy to be here today. I just wanted to, before we start, I'd like to pay respects to the elders, past and present and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Australia. And we are so fortunate to meet on this land today. Just a quick introduction about what I do. Professional Coaching Solutions. I'm a human resources consultant, and I work with small business and larger corporates. I do leadership coaching and team coaching, so that's something that I really love. I also do some career coaching for individuals. So basically working with career-driven professionals and finding solutions for them to make them succeed in their business or in their career. So 2020 has been a game changer, and I don't need to repeat all of that. Every single human on this planet has been affected. And there were quite a few small businesses who reported that they are struggling to attract and retain the right people. But I'm here today to give you some good news. And I think we need some good news in this time. So I hope this will help you if you are also one of those businesses who are struggling at the moment. Humans haven't changed. Even before COVID, people want the same things that they want now. People want to be safe. They want to do what they love. They want recognition. That father looking in the eyes of his child and saying, "Well done, son, I'm proud of you," that has never changed. That human need for recognition and a pat on the back, fitting in, having a tribe, growing, learning, guidance, and a work-life balance hasn't changed. Now, I know that work-life balance has become a bit more pronounced. People are talking about it more. And I think balancing responsibilities at home and work while people started working from home, it became more evident that there is actually something like work-life balance, but people have always wanted that. I really feel sorry for people who had small kids with them in the house who tried to work. I don't know how you do it. I mean, for me, it was even difficult to just have my husband in the house. So it's a really challenging situation, but the bottom line is that's always been there. So that's good news story number one. Good news story number two, people actually want to work. I think a lot of people felt that, oh, things have changed. There's a lot of people who now are going to not want to work, but it's actually not true. As we speak, I'm a career coach as well. So I've got clients approaching me as we speak, asking me to rewrite their LinkedIn profile, asking me to help them find their dream job, helping them with CVs, begging me to help them find a job. And these are actually competent people. So they are out there. It's just a matter of finding the right candidates. So finding and keeping your ideal candidate is not rocket science. That's good news story number one. It's psychology and it's marketing. So again, it's just something that you need to think about a bit before you start filling a role in your business. And your ideal candidate. So I want you to think about the persona of your candidate. But when you think of your ideal candidate, don't think of them on the outside, what they look like, their gender or their age. Think about what they look like on the inside. What do they look like in their soul? What makes them happy at work? What culture energizes them? And if you have a sign up on your shop front window saying now hiring, are they actually going to respond to that? Are they driving past that sign? So it's just about thinking about that persona of your ideal candidate. So this is a great one. I was just Googling jobs, Coffs Harbour. And the first thing that popped up was DoorDash delivery. And this just screamed P-plater to me, red P-plater. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I can't see because I want to read this for you. It says, no passengers, no bosses, just you, your tunes, and the road. Sign up now and start making money. The whole persona is speaking to this candidate, and I can only picture the person who's just a fresh P-plater driving in the car with their mom. Their mom is telling them they took the wrong turn off and they're rolling their eyes. They're so keen to just start making their own money. And this is exactly what this says. Be your own boss. Work when you want, wherever you want. And if you look at the right-hand side of the screen, that is the branding of this company. They are talking to their ideal candidates right through their branding. The photos are of young, fresh, fit people, a happy team. You know, they look happy. They have bicycles and they look active. So it's attracting the person they are looking for. And this is just an example of how you pull all your branding elements of your employer branding straight through all the messaging to attract candidates, just like you're going to attract your clients as well. So if I look at this advertisement of the coffee cruise, let's say I'm this young person and they say help wanted. I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh, they are overwhelmed. Their kitchen is dirty. I don't want to work for them because they just want me to go and help them. But if I look at the advertisement on the right-hand side, it says vibe offered. And I look at this happy person making coffee and I'm thinking, hey, I can make a really good coffee. I can almost hear the music in the coffee shop. I can see the happy people there. It makes me really happy to see that. And I want to explore that. I want to explore this role. Now, a very important thing, where do your ideal candidates hang out? And I want to just ask you to think a bit further as well. Don't only think about where they hang out, but where do their networks hang out? Let's take this as an example. I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. I happen to have a friend who has a daughter who's looking for a job at the moment. If there's a company on LinkedIn that's advertising a nice job, I'm going to tell her about it. So it's about casting your net wide, but sending the right messages so that that net picks up the right candidates. And, you know, people use different platforms, but their families and friends also hang out in places where they might pick up on those messages. Just a quick thing about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the largest professional networking site in the world. There's more than 260 million active users. With the analytics and everything, if you advertise quite a lot for roles, this is a really good platform to use to advertise for candidates. But the wonderful thing is it's free. So there's another advertising opportunity, a marketing opportunity for you and your company, even if you don't have a job that you're advertising at the moment. In fact, don't wait until you have a job to advertise and then get a LinkedIn profile, because you want to start generating traffic to your profile, but you also want to start building a brand that's respected, that sends the message to your candidates that this is a place that I want to work for. Canva is actually a good example. Canva is a company that has been making huge impact and growing so fast, and lots of people are keen to work there because it's very, you know, beautiful things that they create. It's very creative and very on the forefront of you know, an ideal employer for many creatives. So it's free to join LinkedIn. Start showcasing your employer brand. Another thing that's free that not lots of people use is Google My Business. It's another opportunity for free marketing and free opportunities to start spreading your employer brand, uploading photos on a regular basis, getting the branding through so that by the time you are advertising for that candidate, people know about you. So just to reflect, how are you selling yourself and your business to your candidates? And think about whether they are actively looking for a job or not. Because you may be advertising a job right now, and this particular candidate is not the right person for that job, or the timing may not be right for them. But at the back of their mind, there will be subtle messages that this is a company that I actually want to work with. Next time when you advertise, they are ready. Think about all the different layers that will go through that candidate's mind, because candidates subconsciously move through a series of stages when choosing a new company to work for. And even subconsciously, they start thinking, oh, I will associate myself with that brand. I will associate myself with this company. Looking at the culture, even little things like imaging, if you look on the left-hand side, that picture just reminds me of my first job in the public service when I started in 1988. I will not want to work for that company. It looks loud. It looks like a busy call center. So even that little tiny messaging that you send through imagery is extremely important. Do the people want to work? The desire is definitely there. And even in jobs that sound like it may be something that people don't want to do, like firefighting, there are people who love doing that. They are really passionate about saving lives, saving property, helping other people be safe. So you need to also think about what desire will the candidate have to work in that job and try and make it desirable for them. Candidates always think about whether they will fit in. And if you think about the rewards, I'll go a bit deeper into that in some of the next slides. But money is not everything. So don't think that, you know, a dollar value is going to sell a job to somebody. A lot of people don't even look at that because that's not what people are really after. They want support, they want work-life balance, they want a happy work environment. And when it comes to leadership, people want that as well. They want to be mentored. They want to be coached. They want to grow and not remain stagnant. So if you can send messages about cool leadership things that you're doing in your company or cool team building things and start filtering that through your messaging online, your Facebook page, your LinkedIn, it starts dropping those subtle messages to candidates that this company is actually somebody that I like. Taking that to the next level, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you look at that model, the same applies to the world of work and to candidates. So right at the bottom, you've got your compensation, your benefits that keep you safe and secure. So that's the basic needs layer. So people want that, yes, to meet they want to be able to buy groceries, but that's not everything. If you take it to the next level up, that's where you start meeting their psychological needs. And that's where people want flexibility, they want career support, they want well-being at work. But the sweet spot, and that's what you need to aim for, is that alignment right at the top where the self-actualization kicks in, where there's a unique purpose, where this person can connect with your mission, your values, your culture, want to feel that they belong there, happy at work, and aligned with their values. And that's what we talk about when we refer to employee value proposition. It sounds like a very big word, but it's really just what value you give to a potential employee and what is it that they want and that overlap. I just want to re-emphasize this. Spread your recruitment efforts wide and think outside of the box. You've got a Facebook page or you've got an Instagram page and your friends do. Get some messaging through there as well. As I mentioned it earlier, spread your net as wide as possible, but catch the right fish. Now, once you've got your advertisement running, plan ahead. Make sure that you've got your recruitment process streamlined. Make it easy for candidates to apply. Make them feel very welcome. Have your ducks in a row so that you can hit the ground running, because people move very fast. And if you don't get back to candidates in weeks, they're going to move on. The good ones are going to move on. Be very quick, very professional in what you do, extremely welcoming. Make every single candidate feel that you absolutely love them. Whether you don't, think they will fit in. Even if you think they don't fit in, they are going to have a good experience. They are going to leave that recruitment process and they are going to talk about your company, marketing. In the interview as well, use that as an opportunity to connect with each and every one of those people. Be honest about your business, the good and the bad things, and what they can expect and why they want, and ask them why they would want to work with you as a company. So that's another marketing opportunity that you can use also to attract future candidates that may currently not be actively looking for a job. When it comes to interview questions, I've interviewed hundreds of people in my career, and I still cringe when I sit in a panel and one of the panel members, although I brief them, they ask a question that can only have yes. And I'll give you an example. So, you're good at Excel, aren't you? Yes. You still get that in interviews. People are just going to say yes if you ask them a question like that. If you say, oh, so you make a good cappuccino? Yes, of course I do. So you need to ask more open-ended questions, and you need to ask them about examples of things that they've done that will demonstrate to you that they've actually done what you want them to do in this job and they love doing that. Start with something like, tell us about a time when you had to resolve a stressful issue with an irate customer. Then they have to walk you through that. Or walk me through the kitchen's busiest time on a Sunday and how you coped with it. And if they tell you, yes, Sundays were busy, and then ask them a bit more. So what did you do? How did you plan? How did it make you feel? Probe a little bit. Give them examples of what's difficult in the role that you are advertising. If you say something like, this role is challenging, sometimes you need to juggle 10 different tasks at the same time. Tell me about a time when you had to juggle multiple tasks under pressure, and look at how they respond to that. So just examples. If they can give you examples of things they've done that ticks the boxes for you and demonstrate to you that they are the ideal candidate for that job. Works. If you use that opportunity when you have the interview and the advertisement, it's always good to think about perks outside of monetary rewards. The perks that I'm listing here are actually things that are being done by companies across the world. And immediately, if you look at something like massage vouchers, it sounds, oh, that's going to be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. For example, if you have a tip jar on the counter and all the customers put the tips in there, that should be enough once a year to buy a voucher of some sort for the team member that did the best. You know, you can have a voting session in the team or something, or whatever other customer feedback system you use. Ice cream, people actually do that. Muffins, free food, you know, having lunch. Let's say you are in a position to say, all my staff can have a lunch on me 3 times a week. You know, it's a nice perk, and it's a nice perk to sell to prospective candidates. No official work hours. That's not always possible, but in some instances it is. And you know, if you can sell that, that's great. Professional development doesn't have to be expensive courses. It can be mentoring. It can be all kinds of different things. Free books, apparently a lot of people like that as a perk. Have you guys heard about that? I haven't. So free books as a perk it's a nice thing to think about. And then just something little like fitness goals, having an accountability buddy working with you towards your fitness goals in a team doesn't cost anything. There's some more cool perks. Surf breaks. That's something we can do here. We are in a very fortunate position to be able to offer that. From the Friday sundowners or office parties, it sounds very 80s, but it's actually possible, even if you have a remote team. And I've been doing that. We've been getting together on a Friday at 5 with a beverage, everybody on Zoom or Facebook video chat, and just reflecting on the week. What did we achieve? Publicly acknowledging the efforts of some individuals, and then talking about challenges for next week, how we can support each other. Just relaxed, chilled, sharing some personal information, and that's just helping to connect the team a little bit better. Then there's obviously also the standard services like employee assistance program, on-site health services. So that's more for bigger employers, I know. It's not necessarily for small business, but this is just to give you an idea that there's always something else to think about. I do want to touch on value alignment and giving back, especially with millennials. They do want very strongly to, you know, very strong evidence that your values align with theirs. And something like social responsibility, where you give back to the community or you make contributions to a charity or anything like that, carries immense value with candidates. And again, it doesn't have to be an expensive exercise. It can be a tree planting exercise or cleaning up the beach. So there is something very valuable in there. A pet-friendly environment, a lot of people cringe when they hear that, but there are lots of companies that are doing that now. They just have a separate area for people who are allergic to pets. It works. Pets make people happy. People find that they can relax more. So it's actually something that worth considering. It's not always possible, but definitely something worth considering. And I mentioned the team building. It doesn't have to be a day workshop at $4,000. It can be a 10-minute Zoom share something. So there's lots of opportunities out there. And these are just examples that I just grabbed from articles about the top 50 companies in the world, employers that people want to work for. So it's just something to give you some food for thought. Then there's the more formal recognition and informal recognition. And there are apps like Shout Out, which will probably not be something that small business in Coffs Harbour is going to consider. But just so you know, there are apps that you can use to get people to vote for their employee of the month and that sort of thing. But there are other things we can do. You can get your kids to make a thank you sign and put it in the parking area of that person who did something great yesterday. Or flowers from the field. So giving somebody flowers does not have to be an expensive $50 bunch of flowers. It can be a single flower. I will be equally happy when I get to work and there's one flower on my keyboard with a thank you note. It does not have to be a massively expensive thing. One cupcake, one handshake, one handshake in a meeting, team meetings where we're always just rushing into things, just 1 minute where we stand still and we just say, Christina, thank you for organizing this event. You did great. People just want to hear the thank you for their efforts. So I'm just going to move to work preferences. Majerus and McCann identified 9 success factors that form the basis of outstanding teamwork. They did this research about 30 years ago, and it's still being used today by many companies. And it's something that a lot of us often forget. So again, I'll use the coffee. So if you haven't noticed by now, I love my coffee. I use it a lot in my examples. So I'll use the barista example again. What does a barista do? They talk to customers and ask them questions. How do you like your coffee? So they advise their customers on the products that's available, and then they try something new. So they do something innovating. How about salted caramel coffee? They tell other people about the uniqueness of the coffee shop. They do some testing to improve the flavor, and they experiment with the machine settings. And then they have a system to track the orders. They get organized and get all the orders coming through. Then they turn the filter handle and start making amazing coffee. So they start producing things, testing their own coffee, inspecting whether it's okay. Do they need to make tweaks? Is it too strong? And then they do a lot to keep the customers happy, cleaning the machine and regularly keeping the beans fresh. So that's maintaining activities. So if you look at this, what's called the wheel in Majerus and McCann's model, a barista's role is actually very diverse. It's got all these elements in it. If we have a candidate who does not have a preference in these areas, so I'm just going to take the promoting, which is the yellow block there, and then the blue areas. Let's say it's somebody whose work preferences are just in the blues. So they may be very introverted. They really don't like working with customers. They are not big picture. They like entering data, checking figures, marking off checklists maybe, reflecting on something before they make a decision. They may be a really sweet, lovely person and very competent. So you're going to think, well, I really like her. Maybe she will fit in. She may, because she's very sweet and nice. But if this job is not the right fit for her, she is going to be stressed. It's going to suck the energy out of her, because for her to be outgoing with the customers the whole day with this vibe, and she can't even have 5 minutes to think about something before she makes a decision, it's going to be quite hard for her to operate in that environment. And I'm not suggesting that people can't, and people learn, and we'll talk about that some more. But it's a good thing to understand what elements are in this role before you advertise, so that the candidate that has the right work preferences will fit into that role. Because if we work in a role that fits with our work preferences, it energizes us. I can use myself as an example. I love my job. I love what I do. And I actually have to tear myself away from my computer, because I can't wait it's sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning and I start working, and then it's 7 o'clock at night and my husband has to say, look, yeah, you really have to stop. But I'm so full of energy. It's not making me tired at all. So it's just an example to show you again that it's good to don't just put a sign on your shop window and say, help wanted. Go and think about what is it you're really looking for and what vibe are you selling to this candidate, because you are selling your values, your culture. If you get this person to align with who your company, who you are, and where you're taking your company, they will help you achieve success, because they're going to be so engaged. They're going to show up and just go for it. Very quickly about how the model works as well. I referred to introverted and extroverted behaviors. And it's important to not put people in boxes. So, for example, if somebody's flagged as an introvert by psychometric testing or something, it's all on a scale. So we can use this one as an example. On the extrovert-introvert scale, my profile says I'm an introvert, but I'm very close to the middle. And this is all situational. So sometimes I have to do things that are done by extroverted people. And today is a good example. Standing here talking to people is not something that introverts, it doesn't come naturally. So you have to always take into account that it's situational, it's on a scale, and people learn and grow. Introverts crystallize thoughts by thinking. They speak in final copy. So introverts will often be a bit slower when they talk because they're thinking about, in my case, I'm also translating from Afrikaans to English, and then I'm an introvert as well. So it takes a bit longer for my message to get out of my mouth. But introverts do want to reflect. So a tip, if you have a team and you have meetings with your team, and there are people who are a bit more quiet in the team, send them the information beforehand, because the introverts want to reflect on it. They want to think, and then they will contribute. If you have, especially when it's an intimidating situation like Zoom, with lots of people and lots of extroverts, and they're all talking, this introverted person may not participate, but they've got all these thoughts. So sending them the information beforehand and then actively engaging them during that conversation will bring out some really valuable information for you. People also work differently with information. Some are more practical, some are more creative. Some jobs require more creative skills or job work preferences, and others don't. It's again something to bear in mind, the level of creativity that's required in a job and how somebody aligns with that. How people make decisions also plays a role. Some people are very task orientated. They just want to get down to business. They don't even want, everything's black and white. It's just right or wrong. Whereas you'll get other people who are very beliefs-based, so they may want to say, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right. And then the more analytical people will say, it says this. So for analytical people, it's simple. But then the beliefs-based people look at the ethical side of things. And it's really good to have those dynamics in a team, because it allows people to bounce things off each other and check decisions from different angles before a decision is made. Same with organizing ourselves at work. Some people are very structured, they have milestones, they've got project plans for everything, they do everything in Excel, and others may be more flexible all over the show. They still get the job done, but if they work with the structured people, the two may really frustrate each other. And this is also evident where you may have a people leader who, let's say, is extremely flexible, and an employee who's very structured. The structured employee wants structure. They want to hear exactly by when you want this done and how. And the flexible person will probably go, do this, arrange a Coffs Coast Business Festival. Oh, when? By when? When do you want what? And the structured person will do exactly what you're telling them to, but they want to hear what the milestones and the deliverables are. So again, understanding that will help you collaborate better with people who are different from you. This is just how the model comes together. People at work is basically all the work preferences of the barista that we talked about. And then the people inside the jobs, relationships, how we deal with information, make decisions, and how we organize ourselves. And then that's how we then come up with a model that basically tells us one thing, and that is we are energized if we work in a job that aligns with our work preferences. And something to keep in mind when you advertise for a role. Also, I'm saying when you advertise for a role, but it's also applicable in the whole employee life cycle. So if somebody is not happy in their job, try and see if there may be elements that they may not have enough structure. Ask them questions. Do they want more clear guidance? Do you want a system to explain the process? Do you want a more detailed process? So in the more than 30 years that I've worked in human resources, I haven't discovered a single person who was deliberately incompetent. There was always some backstory. There was always something that made them behave in a way, or they may not have been in the right job, or they didn't get the right guidance. Communication was, 90% of the time was the problem. If there were issues between employees and leaders, communication was always an issue. But this is something that's quite powerful if you want to ensure that your employees are engaged. Maybe just tweak how you work with them or the type of guidance that you give them. And if you can't, if you are too different, then, get somebody else in the team to help with that. This model is used by many companies across the world, including Coffs Harbour Council and Nutrition Research Australia locally and the Observatory. So it's been used for many years. I just want to emphasize this. You're not the same person you were when the year started. And I'm not only talking about 2020 because nobody is, but we all grow, we all learn, and we don't stay in boxes. People are agile beings. They learn. So you can grow and your team can grow. And it doesn't mean, for example, if somebody is, I'm going to go back to an introvert. If somebody's an introvert, it doesn't mean that they can't stand and present training. It's just learned behaviors. So always just something to bear in mind with your team as well. I put a little bit of information in the handouts about this concept called Ikigai, and you can just Google it. There's heaps of videos and articles about it. And this is something that's quite powerful for me in just helping people connect with their purpose in their team and in business. It works the same way as the work preferences. If things are aligned with what you love and what you're good at, you will be energized by it. So in this example, if I can just use an example, if I look at what I can be paid for, if I know that actuaries get a lot of money. So yes, I can be paid for that. Does the world need actuaries? Definitely yes, because they do all these predictions and modeling and everything. So absolutely the world needs it. Will I be good at it? Definitely not. It's a very difficult field, actuarial studies. And do I love it? No, I don't. I don't really love maths. So that's not going to be a good fit for me. I need to look at something that the world needs, that I love, that I'm good at, and I can be paid for. So in career counseling, this is something that's quite powerful. But at the same time, if you're a small business owner, if you can look at those elements in how you work with your team or even with yourself, if you look at the aspects of your business and go and think about how these things, these different factors play together in your business. If there's something that's not quite right, there may be somebody in your team who's good at whatever it is that you need to do. Let's say the BAS statements. I hate doing that. Maybe somebody else is good at it and they can help you. Maybe they love it. So it's about looking at those different elements. I'm not going to go through all these questions, but I just wanted to highlight that a lot of us are faced with challenges around remote teams. And often with remote team meetings that I've attended over the past year, people just launch into the meeting. And I know we're all just super busy and there's just an hour and we just jump in and there's the whole agenda. But engaging people now is more important than ever, especially people who may have been slightly disengaged or not very comfortable at work because something's not working, or they don't feel that they get enough guidance. They may become more and more isolated. So just asking them one or two simple questions like, what aspects of your job do you love the most? How can I work differently with you? What are the most difficult things that you're struggling with right now? How is it working for you? So just asking them a question first and just exploring how they are experiencing this remote team situation. And I love this quote by Henry Thoreau. He said, the greatest compliment that was ever paid me was when someone asked me what I thought and attended to my answer. I think you must have been an introvert. So I think there may be lots of people sitting in Zoom meetings everywhere with a lot of good information to contribute, but nobody's asking them. So just something to bear in mind when you have remote teams. So just if we recap, engagement is something you need to attend to throughout the employee life cycle. So if we talk about attracting, it's before the recruitment process even happens. It's when you start sending those subtle messages to your prospective candidates or family of your prospective candidates, dropping subtle messaging about your employer brand. You want to tell everybody, we are a great company. Then when you do the actual recruitment, that's when you talk to the employee. We want you. You are special. You are the one we want. You're part of our tribe. That's when you start sending those messages. And then when you onboard people, obviously making them feel happy and welcome that, happy that they joined the company. Oh, sorry, I'm just thinking of an example. It was a recent example of, it was a person who just came to the job the first day and he didn't come back the next day. Sorry,
Does that actually happen?
yes, I'll tell you afterwards. Sorry, I didn't mean to think about that, but it just popped up. And then throughout the career, thank you. Don't stop saying thank you. Don't stop giving them that one cupcake or one handshake. And then showing them that they're making an actual difference. So demonstrating how they are impacting on the business and helping you achieve the goals of the business so that they feel it's their goal that they are achieving. Michelangelo said the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but it's too low and we actually reach it. And I think same there with the same thought applies when it comes to managing your employees and recruiting for your ideal candidate. You know, put together a perfect picture of what that person is, what they look like inside, and what they are going to contribute to your business and how they are going to help your business, you know, kick major goals. It is possible. And that's it for now. I'm not sure whether we got any questions through the Zoom chat. I didn't see anything coming through. Oh, yes, absolutely. Don't ever ask anybody about their age. And I really appreciate that you're asking that question, Angie, because I skipped over it. And it's very important in interview questions to not even touch on anything that's got to do, even with how long people are working. Don't even say, how old were you when you started in that job? Or something like, how long have you been doing this? Because you know what? There are people who have 30 years of experience behind them, but they're not that competent compared to, not necessarily that competent compared to somebody else who has just 2 years of experience. So asking about length of experience or anything that's remotely connected with gender, age, or preferences is definitely not something we should do. Thank you for asking that question. I think that's it. Thank you very much, everybody.